Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, December 2nd. Ian Cameron and Matt Robinson's back. It's actually been a while since we've seen Matt on the show, but Thanksgiving, been a busy time. And speaking of that, before we get into the Tuesday card and also look back at what we saw Monday night, Matt, how was the Thanksgiving fam jam back home in Big D in Dallas? I know you attended a Stars game while you were back home, so how did all that go down?
Yeah, it was good. I was back for two separate trips over the course of 8 days. So I was there Friday through Monday for a little roller hockey tournament, and then back in Reno, and then was back in Dallas Wednesday through the weekend. So it's good to see, some family, met up with some buddies, watched college football on Saturday. Obviously went to the Stars game that Friday night against Utah. So that was a good game to be at. We were actually on the side that Dallas shoots just once. But the second period is when Dallas had 3 goals, and Jamie Benn and Robo scored like a minute apart to go from down 2-1 to up 3-2. So exciting game to be at for sure. Obviously a bit emotional as it was the night after Clayton Keller's father passed away. So I saw guys going up to him in warmups, and then he ended up being announced as the first star of the game, despite the loss. He didn't have any points, but obviously just a classy move. So definitely an exciting game to be at. And then we actually went over to the post-game bar that everyone kind of ends up at outside the American Airlines Center. And it was the official watch party for the University of Texas. Obviously a crazy game with them and Texas A&M that ended in favor of UT. So we walked in with like 10 minutes left. UT had just taken the lead, and, they had a small band playing the fight song. It was, electric. So all in all, a great trip to Dallas. Obviously great to get to a game, but overall just a good Thanksgiving. Got back to Reno Sunday night and just getting back in the swing of things. So I know, everyone's holidays are pretty crazy between Thanksgiving and basically New Year's Day is all kind of just a blur, between Christmas stuff or Hanukkah, or whatever you've got going on. Winter is officially starting. So, looking forward to these next couple weeks. I'll be back normal here in Reno. I don't think I travel again until just after the new year for a conference. So a couple weeks at home will be nice to kind of relax and get ready for the holidays.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the thing with Thanksgiving in the States being late November. The next round of holidays are not that far away. Christmas in a month, whereas here in Canada, Thanksgiving's in early October. There's a bit of a gap, bigger gap between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Alex is fine. He's just under the weather today. Decided to, take the day to rest and recuperate. He'll be back most likely tomorrow. He was fighting through it yesterday, quite honestly. So he'll be back tomorrow with us on the show. So it's just Matty, Rob, and I on the show today. We'll look back first on yesterday before we get into, and by the way, good comment from someone in the chat saying I checked out Matty's video, the Beyond the Lines Wizard Sports Picks, that daily show on the YouTube channel at Wizard Sports Picks. Make sure you check that out. Matt does that show on Tuesdays. I do that show Sundays and Thursdays. So make sure you check it out. Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel. Just a nice short, like 5, 10, 15-minute video. Just breaking down some picks for the day. So make sure you check out those videos. Beyond the Lines, Wizard Sports Picks, YouTube channel. Good stuff for mentioning that. Monday started off great, actually. We talked about how I thought Pittsburgh early in the game was going to be coming out strong after getting thumped by Toronto Saturday night, 7-2. We took Penguins' first goal, first period, plus 145. Great bet, cashed it in that game. Pittsburgh first period money line. I wasn't as sold on Pittsburgh winning the game, but win the game they did. They basically controlled the flow most of the way, and they ended up with a nice, solid 5-1 road victory. Nice bounce back for Dan Muse and his Pittsburgh Penguins last night. And like I said all along, I was very concerned about the spot for Philadelphia. Very successful road trip, 3 wins in a row to end the trip, coming back home, a little dopey, a little less than stellar from the Flyers, and the Pittsburgh Penguins were able to get a nice 5-1 victory there in that one. We saw a really, really animosity, cantankerous, ill will filled game between the Columbus Blue Jackets and New Jersey Devils last night. We had like a fight card breakout in the second period. We had Voronkov fighting. It all stemmed from an incident that occurred with Brendan Dillon early in the game. That didn't make New Jersey too happy, and obviously you give New Jersey credit. They're sticking up for their guy, and we saw that multiple times. We saw, like I said, Voronkov in a fight. We saw Paul Cotter in a fight. We saw Siegenthaler going at it with Fantilli. I mean, it was just a pretty nasty game last night, which is nice to see that every now and then. A little bad blood, little animosity. Nothing wrong with either side, the way they acted. New Jersey's defending their guy, Brendan Dillon, who's a veteran defenseman in this league, and Columbus is trying to stand up for themselves. So like I said, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Great to see it. Old-time hockey a little bit in that game. On the ice, as far as the actual game itself, Columbus ends up rallying in that game. They had maybe one of the worst starts you could imagine watching that game. They were awful in the first 5 minutes. They were down 2-0 before you could blink an eye. And it looked like they were going to get, blown out in that game. That's how bad they started. But for them to just settle down, they made it 2-1 later in the period, tied it at 2, and then they ended up with a 5-3 victory. Very, very solid road win, and a much-needed one for a Columbus team that had been struggling to win close games as well. The offense finally came to life there with 5 goals in that game, which was good to see. So nice win there for Columbus, getting the 5-3 victory there against New Jersey. This one was, give Buffalo credit. We don't usually see them follow up a good game with another. Usually when they're off a win, you bet against them. They're off a bad loss. Sometimes you can bet on them, but another good performance, and they deserved the win. They were much better than Winnipeg. 5-1 victory for the Sabres last night. I had the Jets, so that goes to defeat, but I had the over, which pushed in that game, landing on 6. How about Josh Norris? Welcome back to the lineup. Welcome back to the Buffalo Sabres. 2 goals and an assist, a 3-point night for Josh Norris in his return from injury. He was absolutely outstanding. If you're the Sabres, put that fucking guy in bubble wrap, or put him in some kind of, protected, force field of some kind where he doesn't have to get, hit or have any human or physical contact of any kind, because you want this guy to stay healthy. You're just praying to the gods right now, if you're a Sabres fan, that he can stay healthy, because it's been one injury after another for Josh Norris, but he keeps on proving over and over again that when he's healthy, he's a great player, especially offensively. He's responsible without the puck as well. Very, very solid game from him. Obviously, he was terrific. The whole team was very good. Even Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had a good game, and the Jets just continue to struggle without Connor Hellebuyck. Their defensive game's not as good. Hellebuyck's not there to clean up the mistakes. It's difficult for your Eric Comries and your Thomas Miliches of the world to clean up those defensive mistakes when they happen. And Winnipeg is definitely going through it right now, struggling. They had a players-only meeting after the 5-1 loss to Buffalo last night, so we'll see what that leads to, if that can spark something. But it hasn't been pretty for this Jets team since the injury to Connor Hellebuyck. And then we had Anaheim 4-1 win against St. Louis. I lost the over in this game. I'm kind of miffed I didn't take Anaheim in some form, especially first goal. I knew they were on a back-to-back on the road. That's why I stayed off them. And obviously they had Ville Husso starting for them, but I didn't trust St. Louis as a favorite. I knew they would probably come out strong after blowing the lead to Chicago, losing the day before, but I didn't pull the trigger, so I'm kind of frustrated there with that. But nice win for Anaheim, 4-1 on the road against St. Louis. And then the last game last night, sometimes you just have to, don't talk yourself into mind games sometimes. Just keep it simple. If it's there for the taking, you take it. And for me, that was San Jose money line, best bet, plus 150. I couldn't believe they were that price. Utah struggling. Utah's lost 3 in a row. San Jose 8-2 in their last 10 home games going into last night. Everything screamed San Jose, just much better form. And they just put the beat down on Utah, got away from Utah in the second period, 6-3 final score for San Jose in that game. 2 guys were on the verge of a hat trick, Toffoli and Will Smith for the Sharks. Both had 2-goal games last night. Sometimes you just don't talk yourself into saying, oh, it's a trap line. Why is this team favored by so much? Sometimes you get yourself into trouble and you talk yourself off a winner at a great price. And thankfully, I did not do that with San Jose last night. We stuck to it. He said, why are the Sharks this kind of a home underdog? Totally absurd. And it played out that way. So nice to cash the best bet at a plus 150 price last night with the San Jose and that 6-3 victory over the slumping Utah Mammoth. Maddie, your thoughts on Monday night? How much betting action did you get involved in on the short card? I know you like to take it a little lighter on the shorter cards on a Monday, but your thoughts on it?
Yeah, relatively small night for me. I did have a premium play up, which was the over in that San Jose Utah game, which
oh shit, that was difficult.
I got in at 5.5, so San Jose got there on their own.
Jeez.
Obviously,
I had only the first period over. I had the first period over, but that was it. Just because you had Utah off a shutout. The first period overs, especially off a shutout loss for teams, they're starting to hit again. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I was on that in a parlay. So the only other play I had, I didn't watch too much of the action last night, but I parlayed Jets, Sabres, Ducks, Blues, and Mammoth Sharks first period overs, which was plus 412. All three hit, so that was a nice little cash. But yeah, typically on Mondays, not doing a whole lot. I saw a lot of the action that went down in that Columbus, New Jersey game. My boy Stefan Nason was back in a fight again. I looked, it's only his second of the year, but for some reason I thought he had like 3 in the last 2 weeks. But he's definitely kind of owning into that, veteran, middle of the lineup kind of guy that's willing to drop the glove. So that's always
Tage Thompson went after him last week for the incident that happened with him and Tage in a previous Buffalo Jersey game. And give credit to Tage. I said it yesterday, stepping up for himself, or last week, stepping up for himself, taking care of his own business. That was nice to see that. Yeah,
that was a good one. It's always funny too seeing him fight someone, with a big name like Tage Thompson. So that's always cool. It's you love to see a top 6 guy that will mix it up. You obviously don't want a guy you're paying $8-9 million to be doing it too often and risk getting hurt, fighting a lower end guy. But when they do fight, usually gets the boys going. So outside of that, obviously a lot of lopsided games, 5-1, 4-1, 5-1. So not a lot of close games. So I guess it was good that you guys didn't have a ton of draw plays in yesterday's card. So but yeah, I know we've got a big 10-game card coming up, so looking forward to getting into that. I have a few plays I really like, a lot of plays that I definitely lean in this card, so excited to get into it.
All right, and we are going to get into it right here and right now, and we will begin with Ottawa taking on Montreal. We've got Ottawa minus 115 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. You've got Montreal returning home off a Western road trip. You've got Ottawa ending a very long road trip tonight here in this game. So I wouldn't say it's a great spot the greatest spot, I should say, for either of these teams, quite honestly, going into this game here tonight. And both teams off losses, thumping losses, beatdown losses, blowout losses, 5-goal defeats, both of them. Montreal to Colorado, 7-2 on Saturday afternoon. Just wrong place, wrong time. It was a back-to-back. They beat Vegas the night before. Colorado was off the loss to Minnesota. It was just a perfect storm, and the Avs routed the Habs 7-2. And then Dallas, just fell flat against Ottawa, I should say, fell flat against Dallas 6-1 on Sunday. So that was a rough game for them. They've struggled all of a sudden. Brady Tkachuk comes back, their captain. Now they can't win since he's been back. Pretty crazy to see that. I think this is a little worse for Montreal. You have to travel all the way from Colorado back home to Montreal, where they have not been playing their greatest hockey of late on home ice, and they've been getting off to slow starts. I think this is a spot for Ottawa coming off the loss to Dallas. I could see them getting on the board first. I don't trust Ottawa to win the game, but I do like the value with Ottawa first goal, first period. We've been smoking with these bets lately. First period, first goal. It has been great. We hit one with Pittsburgh last night again. I like that Ottawa first goal, first period look. I like the over by Fecta in this game. This has been an over series, 4 straight overs between the Sens and the Habs, 8-2 to the over. In the last 10 meetings between these two teams. Long term, we've talked about how Montreal is, I think, still, 15 or 16-3 or something to the over in their last 18, 19 games, the long-term run. Not to mention, these two teams combined for the entirety of the season, 32, 15-2 to the over. Combined, Montreal and Ottawa, 32, 15-2 to the over. on the season, these two teams. Plus, these two teams don't like each other. There should be some animosity. There should be some scrums. It could get a little physical, could get a little rough in between whistles here tonight, which means we could see more power plays, which ultimately means we could see more goals here tonight in this game as well. Montembeault, yeah, he was better against Vegas. He played a lot better, but I don't trust him still. How many times have we seen him? He finally has a good start. You're ready to think he's turning his game around, Montembeault, and then he has another 5-goal allowance and he gets pulled. That's been the history and the pattern with Montembeault. Plus, he's been worse at home. He has not been good here in Montreal whenever he's played this season. So I don't trust him to keep the puck out. I think Ottawa scores goals tonight. I think Montreal returns fire. Allmark was not great in his last start against Dallas. So over series history with these two teams. So yeah, over by Fekta. Ottawa first goal, first period. A little sprinkle on the draw as well. There's other draws I like more, but I'll dabble in it here in this game. Matt, what do you think here, Ottawa, Montreal?
I actually got in on this one yesterday at 5.5. So I'm gonna ride with that, and then I got on the first period over in this one as well. So pretty much in agreement. I think I think Ottawa really needs to have a good game to kind of end the road trip. I think both of these teams have been sort of trending to the over, especially as of late. I know Montreal, even though they were struggling, was on quite an over streak, and then that continued against the Avs in that 7-2 loss. So both teams kind of looking for a good game. Both teams having trouble keeping the puck out of their net. I think the added motivation plus, the defensive struggles on both ends just screams over in this one. So I love it at 6. I was lucky to get in at 5.5 yesterday. I may look for a live look even in this one, as I think this one has a chance to get to 7 or 8 goals. So if we can get, a minute or two with no goals, you might be able to grab a 5.5 at like even money or a plus price. So goals galore, overs for me in this one. That'll be it.
Yeah, this has become quite the good rivalry here the last few years, where as far as we're getting these two teams, there's animosities ramped up, there's been scrums, there's been fights, there's been incidents on the ice that have taken place and transpired between the Senators and the Habs. Even in the preseason, we saw that. So yeah, definitely like this is one of my favorite overs on the entire card. On a card where I don't love as many overs top to bottom as I usually like for a big card. I think it was a little tougher tonight. There's some games where I could see it being a little tighter and low scoring. This ain't one of them, though. I definitely think we're going to see goals here. We have Jake Sanderson on a 3-game point streak. Cole Caulfield for Montreal on a 7-game point streak entering tonight's game. So maybe some looks there for point props involving those two players. I'm going to keep riding the wave with Zach Bolduc for Montreal as long as he stays on the top line for them. There's probably good value as far as props go with Bolduc staying on that top line with Suzuki and with Caulfield. Demidov, Kapanen on the second line. I don't mind that as well. Looks like Brady Tkachuk, Stützle, and Fabian Zetterlund on the top line. So maybe a little look toward Fabian Zetterlund here tonight, getting the top line opportunity here for the Ottawa Senators. All right, Boston and Detroit. We've got Detroit minus 190, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. This is going to be a pass for me initially, but John Gibson's in net, and he's been awful. There's a reason why he hasn't started a game since late October, or late November, I should say, or when is actually the last time he started? It's been a while. I think it might have been actually that long since he's been in net. Like, it's been a while. It's been Cam Talbot for the long period of time. Yeah. Well, he hasn't won a game since October 28th for John Gibson. He's obviously started a few in November, but like I said, he has not started 4 of the last 5. He has given up 4 goals or more, John Gibson, and I'm counting it up right now. 1, 2, 4 of his last 5 starts, he's given up at least 4 goals. So there's a reason why Todd McClellan's been leaning on Cam Talbot lately for this Detroit team. So like I said, Gibson getting an opportunity now after, we saw Boston and win in Boston the other night against Detroit, where it was obviously Cam Talbot in net. So they're going to give Gibson a shot here, to try to get out of this little funk he's in. We'll see if he can do that. The only bet I made, and this is just because of Gibson's really big-time struggles, and it's a small bet. This is a game I was initially going to pass, but then I saw John Gibson starting. I took a small shot at a plus price, plus 110. It was worth it at the price. Boston team total over 2.5. Now, I know they still have some injuries. The Boston Bruins, it's a revenge spot for Detroit after losing the other night. But, and like I said, Boston, no Pasternak still out of the lineup. But, I mean, we still have Morgan Geekie chipping in, Zaka. You've still had some other players to kind of, pick up the slack here for the absence of Pasta on this Boston Bruins team. Geekie's got a goal in 2 straight games. So we'll see if he can carry that over. I like the goal prop for him. I like Michael Rasmussen for Detroit. He's actually scored in back-to-back games for them, and you can get him at a nice, plus 550 at a plus 600 price. So again, just because of the Gibson struggles and the propensity to allow 4+ in a lot of his recent starts, I do have Bruins team total over 2.5. Small bet. Don't like it as much as a lot of the other stuff I've got going here on this card for this Tuesday night. Maddie, what do you think here? Bruins, Red Wings.
This was going to be a pass for me. I might consider taking a shot with the over 5.5. I don't know. We've talked about it before, but when I see a 5.5 that I'm like, it doesn't scream over for me. It's like 4-2 after the first period. So it's just one of those games. So maybe I'll take a shot, but there are things I like more, especially in that 4 o'clock slate or 7 o'clock Eastern time slate. So probably a pass for me, but I would look at the over just given that Gibson's playing. If Detroit can pocket a goal or two, I think this has a chance to get to 6.
Yeah, I stayed off the full game over only because since the beginning of last year, it's 4-0 to the under here in the series with the Bruins and the Red Wings. A lot of 3-2s and 3-1s that we have seen. So I'm going to hope maybe 3-1, 3-2 Boston just so we hit the team total. But like I said, it's just because of Gibson, because it's been remarkable. They thought maybe they were solving their goalie issues with him, and that has not been the case. Tampa Bay, New York Islanders. We've got the Lightning minus 140 road favorites, 6 being the total here in this game. Tampa Bay, they've become quite a story in a really, really impressive fashion with what they've been doing. They are on a 7-game win streak, and to think that this win streak has coincided with Victor Hedman being out, Ryan McDonough being out, Eric Chernak being out. That's 3 regular starting defensemen missing for Tampa Bay, being without Braden Point for the last few games. Darren Radish is day-to-day for this Tampa Bay team entering tonight. Did not practice yesterday, but it's personal reasons for him. So we'll see if he's able to play or not. But they're not getting any of the 3 guys I mentioned back on the blue line. And if they're down Radish tonight as well, that's 4 starting defensemen out for the Bolts tonight. 4. So that is just, a credit and testament. It's a reminder tour that John Cooper's going on right now, which is what I said the other day. He's reminding people why he's an elite head coach and why he's going to the Hall of Fame when his career's over, and why he's a multiple Stanley Cup champion, because you're not supposed to be able to do this, with 3 defensemen out and rip off 7 straight wins, Braden Point, one of your best forwards, out, and still just keep on keeping on winning games like this. He's done a remarkable job. We'll see if they can keep that going here against the Islanders, who suddenly, after that great road trip, they come back home and they're starting to stumble all over the place. Just 1-4 on the 5 games on this current homestand after that excellent road trip. So this is a team that's scuffling right now, starting to struggle scoring goals. 1 goal in 4 of their last 5 games. Just 1 goal, 4 of their last 5 games for the Islanders. So the offense has started to dry up a bit. They're battling some injuries too. Romanov, the Rantanen incident, of course. G. Pajot out. Tony DeAngelo day-to-day. Kyle Palmieri long-term. That's a troubling development. Kyle Palmieri's injury for a team that's going through some offensive woes right now, the New York Islanders. So this is just tricky. I mean, at minus 140, I don't love this price enough to take. I mean, I'm not stepping in front of Tampa Bay, even with the defensive injuries. They're playing well. The Islanders are struggling right now, but I don't love this price, minus 140. I'm going to hope maybe the Islanders can get a lead or get the first goal or something like that, and then we'll take maybe Tampa Bay live at plus money. I do like the draw in this game. I do think we have a chance for overtime here with these 2 teams. Islanders have had 4 of their last 10 go past regulation, so I'm a little bit interested in the draw here. If you ask me right now, because I think Vasilevsky's going to be in net for Tampa Bay. He's expected to be in net. It will be Ilya Sorokin for the Islanders, who's had obviously played a lot better here of late for them. I could see this being a little bit lower scoring, quite possibly. 4 of the last 5 have gone under between these two teams, and the Islanders are starting to cool off. Remember that over machine they were early in the season? Well, they're 8-1 to the under in their last 9 games, and a lot of it is because they're not scoring nearly as much. Maddie, what do you think here? Lightning Islanders.
I hate to do it, but it may be 2 passes more or less in a row for me on this. I just don't.
Huh.
Tampa Bay is so banged
You'll
up.
never feel that way hating to do it. Big card. You can't have a bet on every game. No problem.
Yeah. I just, I think if anything, I'd take a shot with the Islanders here, being plus 120 at home. But they're, when you have such a mixed lineup, you've basically got half NHL, half AHL, almost on both sides. Obviously not quite that high, but there's injuries on both ends. Sometimes that promotes young guys the opportunity to score goals. So there may be some value props here I'll have to look into, but I lean under 2, which is why I'm not on the first period or full game over. But again, I don't usually bet unders. I'm probably just gonna pass on this one. There's too many good games. So
I hear you on that. For me, I'm Brandon Hagel scored in 5 straight games. He's one of the most red hot goal scorers right now in the NHL. Hagel's been great. We'll take his goal prop. And obviously Nick Paul, it goes without saying. Nick Paul has to be bet. Anytime he's north of plus 300. He scored last game for Tampa Bay against the Rangers. So there's a couple of props I like. I'd like to take some Islander props, but like I said, they're having a hard time finding the back of the net right now. But if I were Shabanov on the second line with Horvat, a Heineman, our guy, even though he's cooled off, much like the rest of the team, those would be a couple of the props I'd target for the Islanders here. I might dabble on Islanders first period, first goal. I wasn't going to. I might. If they're going to show up here, it's going to be early. Catching Tampa Bay with some of these injuries as the road trip prolongs, that maybe they get on the board early. I don't love it, but I might sprinkle a few bucks on an Islander first goal of the first period. All right, Dallas Stars and New York Rangers. We've got Dallas minus 125, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. The New York Rangers, it's hard to explain at this point. The 2-9 road home record for the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden, 2-9. That's abominable how bad that is. They lose 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They go on the road. They beat Carolina. They beat Boston. They outscore those teams 10-4. They come back home. Tampa Bay banged up, as we mentioned, with injuries, especially on the back end, and they lose 4-1 at home to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I just cannot back the New York Rangers at home. It's just very difficult to do that right now until I see, a meaningful streak start to build for the New York Rangers. And to make matters worse, it's not just the home woes they have to worry about tonight. It's some injuries, a huge one to Adam Fox, on the blue line. Now, I know Adam Fox has had his ups. He's had some downs, but you're still talking about one of the best puck movers, one of the best offensive defensemen that this Rangers team has. And he gets injured with an upper body injury sustained against Tampa on Saturday. And he won't be back until at the very least late December, if not the new year. So this is going to be a multi-week absence from the lineup here for Adam Fox, which is not what you want to see for an already offensively challenged team, at least when it comes to playing on home ice. The Dallas Stars just keep on keeping on, and it's not like they've been able to do it with a fully healthy lineup. Thomas Harley's out. Liam Bischel's now been put on the IR after an injury suffered against Ottawa on the back end, already without Lundqvist, too, the young defenseman. Matt Duchene's still out, not quite ready to return. So they've had their share of injuries, too, entering this game. Shesterkin and DeSmith, by the way, are confirmed. I kind of had a feeling that Double G was going to maybe go with Casey DeSmith tonight in net for this Dallas team in this spot. He is. Obviously, I believe they have back-to-back and with New Jersey after this, so keeping Ottinger for that game. I don't love this spot for Dallas, but with how bad things have been for the Rangers at home and, the struggles they've had, and now you're down Adam Fox, you're not scoring goals at home. And Casey DeSmith's actually been pretty solid the last few times I've seen him in net for the Stars. So I don't love this bet, don't love this spot for Dallas, but at minus 125, I'm in for a small bet here with Dallas in this game. Matt, what do you think here? Stars Rangers.
Yeah, it's actually one of the picks that I put up in the Beyond the Lines episode. I mentioned it, and I know that there's people that think I favor Dallas on this show, but generally it's props or totals. It's pretty rare that I bet a money line on them, but I just don't think you're going to see minus 125 with Dallas playing the way they're playing, one of the hottest teams in the league, despite, 6 or 7 guys being out of the lineup. And then really when you break it down for me, the no Adam Fox factor that you mentioned, New York's 2-8-1 at home this year. They've been shut out multiple times at home. Dallas 9-1-3 on the road, 3-0-1 on that last trip through Western Canada and ending in Seattle. So they're just finding ways to win. They're kind of playing with 2 elite first lines and then 2 fourth lines and then 3 AHL defensemen in the lineup every night, and just finding a way. Some nights to just get by, like that Utah game, kind of having to come from behind down 2-0 early. And then some games just kind of running away with it, just looking like a team better than, their opponent, like that Ottawa game. So I'm going to take a shot with Dallas here. I'm going to split it up with Dallas team total over 3. I'm seeing it like minus 110, minus 115, something like that. I don't love first period full game overs, just, I've been burned by New York a lot this year at home. I've told myself I'd stay off it just because, this game could easily get to 6 goals. Casey DeSmith's in net for Dallas. I think Dallas will score at least a couple goals regardless of the outcome. But, this game might be 4-2, or it could be a, 3-1 Dallas win with an empty net. So I'm just not going to trust the overs here. There are some props that I do like. That I might mention a bit later, but I think, it goes without being said. Jason Robertson, anytime goal is worth a look until he cools off. It seems like anytime he puts the puck on net, it's going in right now. It's been a crazy run. I mean, Wyatt Johnston, power play points. I mean, he's leading the league in power play goals at the moment. Obviously had a hat trick the other night against Ottawa. So there are a lot of prop looks, really anyone on those top 2 lines, with the addition of Miro, because he's getting a ton of ice time. He's kind of running both power plays with the absence of Harley. So you name it, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Rantanen, all worth looks. You can make, little parlays. My little brother likes to do like a Robertson, Hintz, Seguin point parlay, and, sometimes it'll cash on the first goal if all 3 are involved. So, I think as far as sides and totals, though, I'll take a shot with Dallas here, but I'm going to split it with the team total over 3, just in case the game goes way different than I thought, and you get a New York Rangers 4-3 overtime win or something. At least you get your money back on that team total.
What sucks for the Rangers is they're having trouble winning. They're having trouble scoring goals at home, and you see that the Stars are going to turn to their backup, Casey DeSmith, in net, and you think you might catch a break. And here's DeSmith rolling into MSG tonight, 5-0-1, 1.46 goals against, 943 save percentage in his last 6 starts. Playing great. Lights out here for the Dallas Stars of late. And good numbers for Shesterkin, though, against Dallas in the past, says Jonathan in the chat. 6-1-1, 2.38 goals against average for him against Dallas. So, but like I said, this price is good enough that I'm going to take Dallas here in this spot. I'm with you on Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnston. The bet I like the most for a Dallas goal prop is the captain, Jamie Benn. Back-to-back games with a goal for him. Great price as well. So he's starting to heat up. He's scored multiple times before against the Rangers. 33% of games in his career against the Rangers, he scored a goal for the Dallas Stars. So that's something to keep in mind going into this one. And then as far as Rangers, I mean, again, it's hard to take too many props for Ranger players at home when they're so offensively challenged here in this building all year. But if I were to go with someone here for the Rangers right now, I'd maybe take a shot because he's moved up to the second line with maybe Johnny Brodzinski. Johnny Brodzinski playing with Trocheck and Miller. And Trocheck's been very good, even during the ups and downs that they've had. But Johnny Brodzinski on that second line, definitely going to be a little bit of value for him up on that, like I said, second line right now for the New York Rangers. All right, playoff rematch next up. This is a ESPN Plus game. So this is on ESPN Plus. They have a doubleheader tonight. This is the first game of it. Toronto, Florida. Florida minus 160, home favorite, 6.5 the total. In this game, of course, the Leafs facing the Panthers. First game this season between these division rivals, and the first time they will play since obviously the Panthers vanquished the Leafs in 7 games back in the second round of the playoffs. I'm gonna take another. I'm stubborn, but I'm gonna take a shot with Toronto here tonight, plus 140. Now I'm not going to speak as outgoing about being pro Toronto here as I was when they played Washington on Friday. I thought that was a hell of a spot for the Leafs, and it looked like they were going to win that game for 2.5 periods, and then the Capitals came back and won. I don't feel that strongly tonight about Toronto, but at this price, I'm going to take it. Florida's not right at the moment. Florida's giving up goals. You're giving up 5 goals, and you're losing at home to Calgary. And I know Calgary's played a little bit better of late, but like I said, that shouldn't be happening for the Panthers. They've lost 2 in a row at home. I think it's a situation where, the Leafs, look, you don't have to convince them to get up for this game and this opponent. Obviously, this is a team that took them out when it looked like the Leafs were in control of that series last year early on. I don't mind backing the Leafs with Joe Woll in net. He's been excellent for the Leafs since he's come back from injury. He's the reason they've had a chance, obviously, to win a lot of these games since he's been back. And Bobrovsky, who's going to be in net tonight's been up and down lately for the Florida Panthers. He hasn't been. The whole team just hasn't been themselves. They haven't been dialed in. They haven't been playing their A level of hockey, this Florida team, and still missing key guys, and it's showing. You're missing still Kachuk, Kulikov, Barkov, Coolmint, Lusterinen is missed because all of a sudden Lundell and Marchand, his 2 regular line mates, haven't been the same since E2 Coolmint, Lusterinen has been out of the lineup. So at this price, Toronto's worth a bet. Not a best bet, but worth it at plus 140, I think, tonight in this one. Total, I could go either way. Florida's starting to become a big-time little overrun of late, but the Leafs still are harping on defense, focusing on that end of the ice. The games in Florida recently between these teams have been more unders than overs, so I'm not in love with the total here at 6.5. Matt, what do you think here in this playoff rematch, Toronto, Florida?
I think you hit it pretty well on target. I think Toronto is definitely the team that I would back in this game. I think it's worth taking a shot at the plus 140. It's a pretty good price given Florida's last few games. The bet I like even more though, Toronto team total over 3 is plus 105. Florida's last 4 games, they've given up 5-4, 3, and 6. In that span, they did have the 8-3 win over Nashville, but they still gave up 3 goals to a struggling Nashville team. They gave up 6 to Edmonton, who's been, out of sorts a lot of their last 10 games. So, and then obviously you mentioned Calgary. They gave up the 5, and then that 4 was against a Flyers team that's, playing all right, but, not a team that that is putting up a ton of goals every single night. So they've struggled to keep the puck out of their net. Those last 2 being at home. So I know that you can also look at the angle, they've lost 2 in a row. They'll be looking to, get back on track. So I wouldn't be shocked if Florida plays a little bit better in this game, especially given, the past playoffs. But Florida's been on the winning side of all those playoff series. So, to them, it's just another game. So give me Toronto plus 140, and Toronto over 3 plus 105.
All right, yeah, money line and a team total over split here for Matt with the Leafs in this game. As far as props go for this game, there are a couple that I've circled here for especially on the Leafs side of things. Nick Robertson, when he scores a goal on the road, sometimes you go back to it. Easton Cowan, I want to target these players. Robertson's had chances, finally saw the puck go in. Cowan's now scored a couple goals in the last 3 games, and he's had so many chances to have more goals than that. So Easton Cowan, I think, remains a pretty good goal prop for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. On the Florida side of the equation, based on their Paul Maurice's lineup configuration here tonight, Mackie Samoskevich is with Lundell and Marchand. Jesper Boquist, don't be scared to bet him. He's on the second line, getting some run now with Rodriguez and with Reinhart on that second line for the Florida Panthers. So I think that's definitely a great value. Jesper Boquist here for the Florida Panthers getting this opportunity. One thing I want to point out is so far it's been a very good NHL season for me. 18.1 units of profit. So $100 better is up $1,810 this year. If they had made every bet that I did in the NHL, 18.1 units. But my record, my win-loss record with that 18.1 units is like just a little bit above 500. And you would say to yourself, well, wait a minute. 18.1 units of profit in the NHL this season and your win-loss record's barely above 500. How is that possible? It's because I bet a lot of underdogs. That's why. And I've hit a decent amount of them. You have to commit in this sport. I would say baseball as well, the other money line sports. You have to put yourself in a situation where you talk yourself into betting some underdogs. You have to. If you are going to withstand, if you are going to sustain prosperity and you are going to be getting bang for your buck, return on investment, and long-term profits in these money line sports like the NHL, you have to take shots with underdogs. It's that simple. You just cannot, cut yourself off at the knees with favorites and especially bigger favorites. If you think an underdog's if you think they've got closer to 50% chance of winning a game, you've got to talk yourself into betting these teams at plus prices like this, like a San Jose last night. You just have to, because you're just going to get crippled long term. If you really end up with too many favorites and not many underdogs on your card in this sport on a daily basis. So that's just a little betting philosophy 101 from yours truly, who's been doing this for 15 years now, that you just have to, if you even can find a decent reason to play an underdog, do it, because long term it's going to be good for your bankroll. All right, next up we've got Calgary and Nashville. Nashville minus 120, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Flames and Predators. Nashville's not good. Obviously, they fell flat again against Winnipeg the other night. They lose 5-2 to the Jets. The Jets were ready for that game. The Jets were taking a step down in class, after playing Minnesota, Carolina twice, and Washington. It had been a tough schedule. They played Nashville, and they beat Nashville. Predators, obviously, we didn't trust them to win 3 in a row. They still haven't won 3 games in a row yet this season after the back-to-back wins they had against Detroit and Chicago, and then they come back home. They lose to Winnipeg. I could only look at Calgary here, plus 100. Devin Cooley's in net. Devin Cooley right now is the hotter goalie than Dustin Wolf. It's that simple right now. The California kid, they have 2 California kids on their team, Calgary. They're both California guys right now, Dustin Wolf and Devin Cooley. So 2 Cali netminders, the battery here for Calgary in net. But Devin Cooley continues to give them a chance every night. It was a tough luck loss for him the other night, losing 1-0 in overtime to the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll see how this one plays out. I do like Calgary here, plus 100. Small bet. This is Nashville, coming off the loss at home to Winnipeg. And this is Calgary. Right now they're in better form than Nashville, but it's not like Calgary's lock, stock, and barrel to win this game. These are 2 mediocre teams. But at this price, I like Calgary a bit. Lean draw. I like the first period over only because Calgary's off a shutout loss against Carolina. That first period over is starting to heat up again for these games involving teams off a shutout loss, and we have that here with Calgary. So I'm going to dabble in the first period over here with Calgary and Nashville. Nashville off a 5-2 loss, too. They want to obviously start strong, get on the board early. So I think the first period over is worth a look here. Matt, what do you think? Calgary, Nashville?
One thing interesting to add, I'm on Calgary money line first period over for very similar reasons. Calgary being 4-1-1 in their last 6. They're, again, to your point, I'm not rushing to bet them to win the Western Conference or anything like that, but they are playing a little better hockey than they were for that beginning, 12 to 15 games. So, and Nashville, I just don't really trust. They're 2-4 in their last 6 in comparison. So at this price, give me a shot with Calgary. And exactly, whenever one team's coming off a shutout in the previous game, I'm going to take the first period over. If it's both teams, then I'm going to take it at a pretty heavy unit size. So I'll be on first period over in this one, and then Calgary money line.
Good stuff there. Joel Farabee and Matt Coronado for goal props for Calgary. I'm interested in Evangelista for Nashville. He's actually scored now back-to-back games. And I want you to keep an eye on this kid as well for Nashville on the blue line. He scored in 3 of the last 5 games for Nashville. He scored in the last game for them against Winnipeg. Defenseman Nick Blankenburg. Nick Blankenburg has scored 3 goals in the last 5 games, scored the last game too from the blue line for Nashville. He's getting more opportunity on the power play as well for Andrew Brunette. And he's like plus 850 in some spots to score a goal tonight for Nashville. So Nick Blankenburg, I think worth a dabble, with what we're seeing out of him here in recent games. All right, Vancouver and Colorado. Colorado minus 350 home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. Over first period, over full game, circled, not pregame. Not pregame, though. I'm going to wait to see if I can get a little bit better number, better price. I'm going to hope in Denver at Ball Arena tonight we can get a couple minutes of scoreless hockey and maybe get in on the overs live. I don't love them at the current prices. I actually don't really love them at the current prices because you got to lay minus 150 or so as far as the first period over here in this game. It's pretty pricey to look in that direction. So I'm going to wait till we get it live. And same with the 6.5. If I can get 6 or 5.5, I will definitely jump on it at 5.5. But like I said, I think this is a game that it's worth waiting a few minutes and do the Alex B methodology here and wait for a few minutes to pass. Hope you get a scoreless start for the first few minutes and then jump live on the first period over. Jump live on the full game over at 5.5. Get the 1.5 for the first period after a few scoreless minutes down to like minus 120, minus 110, or even money if you can. So I like that here in this game. This spot feels funky to me for Colorado. They absolutely crushed Montreal 7-2. They've got a lousy Vancouver team rolling in, and Vancouver at times has given Colorado some issues here in this building. Actually, Canucks have beaten them a couple of times the last 4 years here in Denver. So I'm not comfortable endorsing Colorado in this situation. I don't trust Vancouver enough, though. I mean, this is one of the best team right now going in the NHL at the moment, with Kevin Lankinen in net, who's been way more erratic and up and down this year, and your buddy there, Scott Wedgwood, former Dallas Stars goalie, Matt, he's in net for the Avs. He's had just an absolutely tremendous season for Colorado. He should be the goalie moving forward, not Blackwood. It should be Wedgwood. 13-1-1, 2.08 goals against average, 921 save percentage for the Wedge Wall. We got to start using his social media name on Twitter and Instagram, Wedge Wall, because he's playing like a wall this season for Colorado. So, yeah. Nothing pregame other than I'm going to look for the over by Fecta Live. What do you think here, Matt? Vancouver, Colorado.
I'm in agreement. I like the first period and full game over. I'm gonna do a same game parlay here. If you pull it down to 5.5, it's still plus 105. I feel like that's a great look. You could take it at 1.5, 6.5. It's like plus 135, plus 136. So add a little extra juice, but I'll probably just jump on it at 5.5. But yeah, I see a lot of people in the chat hammer the Canucks. I'm not quite ready to do that, but I don't think it's a bad look. I think, at this price, I even saw if you three-way it, I know Colorado's only got one regulation loss. If you think tonight's 2, you can get plus 400 on the Canucks. So if you think this is an egg spot for the Avs, I would, consider splitting it with that. Both are good prices, but I think for me, I still lean Colorado. They're too good to bet against, in my opinion, at this time. But I definitely, given series history, I could see Vancouver, pulling away with one here. I would love to see it.
They don't have a regulation loss at home still. 10-0-2 at home this year.
Yep. Yeah, so it's tough to take that, but that's obviously why it's plus 400 in an NHL game where obviously either team can win the game. So, yeah, if you're going to be on that, go for it. But for me, I think it's a perfect same game parlay spot. We just need 2 in the first, and then we get to that 6 number. We'll take home a plus price. So that'll be my only plays here.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, it's been they've got a lot of injuries too here. This Vancouver team: Garland, Bluger still out, Hedel, Demko on IR, Forbert on IR, Hoglander on IR. The Tolopilo goaltender, who's been starting the last couple, they had to put him on IR now too. So it's just been a lot going on here. Yeah, McKinnon and Landeskog are game time decisions here for Colorado. They do have the flu bug. They do have an illness running through the team a little bit, and it's been that way for about 5 to 7 days here for the Avs. But they've still managed to get through it. I'm going to see how this plays out. I don't hate the idea of taking a shot with Vancouver, but it's just very, very difficult, because of how banged up they are. Lankinen has struggled. His numbers aren't awe-inspiring. 3.5 goals against, 881 save percentage for Lankinen's not very good. So it's just there's lots going to have to break right for Vancouver. They're going to need to play real well. Lankinen's going to have to play a better game than he's played so far, and they're going to need Wedgwood to be subpar, and they're going to need Colorado to play like they're a team battling an illness right now. All that's got to happen, I think, for Vancouver tonight. That being said, I don't love the spot for Colorado. I'll tell you that right now. It does feel like this could be a play-down spot for the Avs tonight. We'll see. All right, Minnesota, Edmonton. We've got Edmonton minus 150, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Edmonton, great performance, one of their better ones against Seattle, start to finish. The penalty kill was great early when they got in penalty trouble. They got the early power play goal. We had Edmonton first goal, first period, Edmonton first period. Puck line in that game, cashed both of those. They roll Seattle 4-0, shutout victory for the Edmonton Oilers coming off that debacle, and it was a debacle against Matty Rob's Dallas Stars the game before that, losing 8-3, obviously, to Dallas in that game. Ugly. It was on one of the worst spots imaginable, though, coming off that long-ass road trip and that game against Florida, the team that's beat them in the final 2 years in a row. And now you're coming back home where you just haven't played well. They're 5-4 at home. They have gotten off to slow starts constantly at home, and that's been an issue. And the Edmonton Oilers are showing issues with stringing 2 good games, 2 wins together. Philly, they win in overtime. They lose to Columbus. They beat Carolina in overtime. They lose to Buffalo. How do you explain that? 5-1. They lose to Tampa. They beat Florida. They beat Florida. They lose to Dallas coming home. So they have just had a very, very difficult time stringing wins together and good performances. And you know how good we've been lately with first goal of the first period, those bets. I went and looked because I knew Edmonton had gotten off to slow starts a lot of late at home. So I wanted to see how often had they given up the first goal on home ice. And I went back and looked. They've given up the first goal at home, Edmonton, 6 of their last 7 home games. 6 of their last 7 home games, they've given up the first goal. You got Minnesota going on it to the road here to Edmonton, coming off the loss to Buffalo. If there's anything that's going to wake you up and get you going, it's going to be a loss to Buffalo on home ice like Minnesota had 3-2 on Saturday. They've got the Brick Wallstead in net. Jesper Wallstead, he's won 6 straight starts in net for Minnesota entering this game. He's been absolutely terrific. 6-0 in his last 6 starts, sub 2 goals against average. Skinner going to get the start for Edmonton. And yeah, he was good against Seattle, but one day up, one day down has been the pattern this year for Stu Skinner in net. So I'm on Minnesota. I think they're live. I don't trust Edmonton to put 2 good games in a row together. Minnesota plus 130. I don't mind the team total over 2.5 with Minnesota at minus 135 in this game. And I'm on Minnesota first goal of first period in this game. This is my favorite first goal of first period look. You got Edmonton, who's given up the first goal, 6 of the last 7 at home. You got Minnesota coming off the Buffalo loss. I think the majority of Wallstead starts, Minnesota's gotten on the board first as well. So it really lines up nicely. Minnesota first goal of first period at a plus price. Plus 150 is the price on that. Great price. Minnesota to get that first goal in the first period. So I'm liking that bet. Minnesota at the plus money as well. Maybe lean under. I know Edmonton's going to focus on playing better defense like they did against Seattle. That's what they've been talking about. But I see Minnesota like a 3-2, 4-2 kind of win. I could see something like that here tonight. But Minnesota, yeah, and they've won 2 in a row in Edmonton, by the way. They've won each of their last 2 times they've made the trip here to Edmonton. Matt, what do you think here? Wild Oilers.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. I'm aligned with you. I like the Wild here. I can't figure out what's going on in Edmonton. They're obviously not keeping the puck out of the net very well. They'll have flashes of okay offensive games. But yeah, they just look super out of sorts. I can't believe they're minus 150 in this one to a Minnesota team that was also one of the hottest teams in the league in November. So I'll take a shot here with Minnesota, but I may dabble on a reverse puck line plus 270 and see if we can get a Minnesota winning by over 1.5. Whether it's an empty net late or if they just kind of run away with this one when 5-2, something like that. But yeah, I'm going to take a reverse Minnesota line here and take Minnesota puck line like they're the favorite and get that plus 270 price.
No doubt. By the way, I should point out for Minnesota, Danila Yurov, who's been on the top line for them lately, he is out. He won't play tonight, and it looks like Ryan Hartman's getting that assignment with Zuccarello and Kaprizov. So I love Ryan Hartman props here. Great value up on the top line tonight with Zook and with Kaprizov. Definitely liking that. No, Boldy obviously has been red hot, which we've talked about. He's been excellent for Minnesota. I think if you're going to look at anyone for Edmonton, Savoy with Hyman and McDavid on the top line, they miss Roslovic, man. I knew the moment Jack Roslovic went down to injury, like that's a big deal because he had been playing well for the Edmonton Oilers, and they haven't been getting a lot of contributions. Like, what have they gotten from the third and the fourth line? Janmark's not scoring. Henrique hasn't been scoring. Frederick, forget about it. Lazar, the one guy that might start popping in some offense for them from the bottom six might be the kid they just called up because his effort's been great since they called him up, Connor Clattenburg, on that fourth line for Edmonton. But they're not getting enough offensively from the bottom six. That continues to be a big problem too. Not just the defensive issues, not just the inconsistency of Skinner. It's been the lack of punch from the third and the fourth line. All right, next up, we've got Chicago and Vegas. Vegas minus 280 home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. This is fascinating. Vegas, 4-3 win against San Jose. They're trying to get on a bit of a roll. They haven't played great hockey. T-Mobile Arena has not been that frightful venue for road teams like it's been in the past. Vegas is just 6-8 at home this year. Think about that. Losing record at home for Vegas this year. They beat San Jose 4-3, but they lost to Montreal and Ottawa 2 home games in a row right before that. Can they get on a little bit of a roll here against a Chicago team that snapped a 5-game losing streak with the come-from-behind victory against Anaheim 5-3 in their last game? We'll see about that. One thing about Vegas and Chicago, these teams played each other 3 times last year, and Vegas had some difficulty in those games with Chicago's speed and Chicago's, ability to move the puck quickly and, score goals, because Chicago scored 5, 5, and 3 in the 3 games against Vegas. 13 goals in those 3 games. Like, there were some real issues with Vegas defensively against this Chicago team last year. They struggled. All 3 games went over the total. Chicago, we know offensively, they're still very capable. Defensively is where the issues have developed for Chicago. They haven't been defending as well lately. They've regressed on that end, and we've seen it in recent games. They've given up, 11 goals in their last 3 games. 3 goals or more in 5 of their last 6 games. They've given up at least 3 goals. Vegas defensively has been nothing to write home about either. They've given up 3 goals or more in 5 straight games, this Vegas Golden Knights team. So, like I said, both of these teams are lapsing right now defensively. And then you throw in the goaltending situation for Vegas, where Carter Hart, the at one time disgraced former NHL goaltender, we thought, with the whole incident that went down with the World Junior team, now, not enough evidence to convict, obviously. Those guys got off, obviously, from that. So that's water under the bridge now. We'll see, whether he turns his life or character around. We'll see. From all indications, he's talking to the media like he wants to make amends for that incident and, turn his life around and do good in the community and all this other nonsense. I'm going to have to see it, before I believe it, but at least it sounds like he's trying to make the effort. But the bottom line is here, we're not here to talk about Carter Hart as a human being. We're here to talk about Carter Hart as a goaltender that hasn't played in an NHL game for years. A guy that, is obviously going to make his first NHL start in a very long time tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights. And if you look at his conditioning stint down in the American Hockey League with Henderson, the Silver Knights, not very good. 3.2 goals against, sub 900 save percentage. And Bruce Cassidy and the coaching staff, they've used the word rusty. He's saying we got to get Carter Hart up here and in some games because we know he's rusty and he needs the work. That doesn't sound like a quote of a goalie we're ready to bet on in his first start in a very long time when I'm hearing that. That we got to get him in and get him in some games here because he's rusty and he needs the work. Does that sound like a coaching staff that's confident that Carter Hart's ready to play at an A level in net right away for this Vegas Golden Knights team? It sure doesn't sound like that to me. So I've got some concerns here for Vegas. They've had a propensity to start games slow. Even in the win against San Jose, San Jose got the first goal of that game. Give me Chicago, first period, first goal. It's a huge price. I like it. I don't trust Carter Hart to be great. I don't trust him to be sharp right away. I could see him nervous as all get out. His first game in a very long time, give up an early goal, some goal he should probably, or some shot that he should probably stop. I could see him giving up the old DQ, Dairy Queen special, Dairy Queen softy early in the game here tonight. I think that is it's worth it. At the price you're getting here, Chicago now with a little pep back in their step, starting a road trip, coming back to beat Anaheim. You can get plus 190 first period, first goal for Chicago. I like it. It's worth a shot at that price. It would not stun me in the least to see Chicago get the first goal of the game here. I'm on over by Fecta. Goes without saying. Vegas, first period over, full game over as well. I do not trust Carter Hart to be on his game early. Vegas has been giving up goals. Chicago's defense has kind of gone backward. You have the 3 straight overs between the Blackhawks and the Golden Knights last year as well. So that's what I like most and I also like Chicago just goal in the first period. I mentioned first goal of first period plus 190, but the first just Chicago to score a goal in the first period. I like the price on that, minus 120. Minus 124 at FanDuel with Chicago just to get a goal in the first period, against a potentially rusty Carter Hart who hasn't played in forever at the National Hockey League level. First period money line. I'm going to sprinkle probably on that. So in order of preference, I would say my favorite look is probably just Chicago goal in the first period, minus 120. Then first goal of first period, Chicago plus 190. Then I would say I like the over by Fecta. Legs, the 1.5 and the 6 first period full game overs. And then after that, the lowest confidence, I guess you could say, would be the money line Chicago first period, and probably the full game team total and money line, which I'm also going to sprinkle on, with Chicago at this price. Because again, this is asking a lot for a Vegas team that's hanging on for dear life to beat San Jose the other night, that has not played 60 minutes of great hockey in a very long time, with a goalie that's rusty as all get out, with weak numbers at the American League level in his conditioning stint, and a coaching staff that's saying stuff like, we're getting him in there because he's rusty and he needs the work. They're not saying, wow, he looked great down there, we're excited to see what he can do. No, they're saying he's rusty and he needs the work. That doesn't sound like a guy that's ready to play at tip-top form now, right in his first start in forever now, does it? So I think there's a lot of good ways to look at this game for me, at the very least, with Chicago. Chicago goal in the first, Chicago first period, first goal, plus 190. Chicago full game team total, dabble on the money line at plus 240, and the over by Fecta. Got all that? Good. Matt, what do you think? Chicago, Vegas.
Yeah, I like all those looks. I think Chicago's going to come out shooting intentionally. No shot's a bad shot when you've got a goalie that's been out for that amount of time. Controversy he's been through, ups and downs, not great numbers in the American League. It screams everything you just mentioned. For me, the big play is first period over here. I do like the full game over as well. Vegas has some high power offensive players. They absolutely could score a goal in this first period, but I think Chicago is going to be on a mission early, fire everything on net. I think, I don't know Hart personally. I don't know if he's a big nerves guy, but I think, after, probably thinking this day would never come for a long time, and then it coming, there's going to be some nerves. There's obviously going to be some excitement to be back in the league after that amount of time out, especially given the whole situation. But Yeah, I just think Chicago is a team that, in a lot of games I like. I think at that plus 240 price, this game's worth a shot, just given, Vegas' whole situation. But yeah, I think biggest bet for me in this one's the first period over, and I do like the full game over as well.
All right, good stuff indeed. By the way, these bets with I mentioned, you might be they're not 1 unit each. They're 1.5 units spread across all these bets. Like we're not unloading on this game. It sounds like it with all the bets I rhymed off that I'm taking in this game, but we're still keeping them all lower units overall. But still, it would be a nice profit if we hit the majority of them. Ryan Green, back-to-back games with a goal for him, plus 450. Really like the price that we're seeing with him as far as finding the back of the net is concerned. Stone on a 9-game point streak. Marner on a 3-game point streak. Burakovsky, Nazar, Teravainen, and Green all on 2-game point streaks right now for their respective teams. For Vegas, back to Braden Bowman for me. I like, Brett Howden is with Marner and Stone on the second line. It looks like tonight as well. So probably a little bit of value now to look with Brett Howden moving up the lineup here. All right, last game, Washington, Los Angeles. We've got the Kings minus 120, home favorites, 5.5 the total. We've got Logan Thompson is confirmed for Washington, and we should see. And by the way, Spencer Knight's expected for Chicago. Not confirmed, but I definitely would expect him in net. Logan Thompson for Washington. Darcy Kemper projected for the L.A. Kings. The Fogue Daddy, Warren Fogle, is out for the L.A. Kings for this game tonight. Obviously, they are also still waiting on Drew Doughty, still on IR. He's probably still more week to week as far as his return. But upper body injury for Warren Fogle for the L.A. Kings. And that's kind of unfortunate because he's got 3 goals in the last 6 games for them. He had been chipping in a little bit offensively for them. We'll see how this one plays out. Washington playing great. Not betting the Kings, I can tell you that. It's caps or pass for me. But it is not the greatest spot for Washington. They're traveling cross country, coast to coast, feeling good about, the nice little run that they've put together. This little 4-game win streak. Columbus, Winnipeg, Toronto, New York Islanders, their last 4 wins. And now they go out to L.A. L.A. lost a tough one in Washington. 2-1 earlier this season, a few weeks ago in mid-November. So I don't love this spot, quite honestly, for Washington. I will eye Washington if they fall behind and get a better price. Pre-game, I lean Caps plus 100, but don't love this game. Lean under, too, because it's been an under-series history, 7-2-1. A lot of low-scoring games, lots of 2-1, 3-1, 3-0, 2-1 between these two teams, and you got, obviously, 2 good goalies. Potentially, if it's Kemper. And by the way, if it's Kemper, which it probably will be for LA, this is one of his former teams that cast him aside, that he's going up against, former Washington Capitals. So, I'm sure he'll be amped up to try to beat one of his former teams after 2 seasons that he spent with Washington before going on to LA. So this is one where I, like I said, I lean Caps, but I don't trust the Kings. The Washington's the better team. They're on a win streak, but like I said, don't love the spot for Washington tonight, traveling all the way to the West Coast. So it's just a lean Capitals. If I do see the Capitals fall behind and trail by a goal and get a better plus price with them in game, then I might jump in on Washington here. Matt, what do you think? Final game, Capitals, Kings.
This one's tough for me. I just feel like with this card, it's probably a pass. I haven't been betting a lot of LA overs or anything like that, so I get why it's at a 5.5 here. We'll see how the night kind of goes, but pregame, nothing on my card.
Nothing wrong with that. This would have been a good spot to back PLD, but the guy is fucking hurt, unfortunately, which has been a common recurrence for him over the years. But like I said, as far as props, though, Tom Wilson's got goals in back-to-back games. I certainly wouldn't talk anyone, out of backing Tom Wilson to score a goal here tonight in this game for the Washington Capitals. Brodus maybe a look as well for the Caps. For the Kings, when you look at their lineup, it's been, pretty much status quo. They've had Fiala with Byfield and Kempe, Kuzmenko with Kopitar and Trevor Moore in recent games. Perry maybe a sprinkle. LaFerriere, we've liked how he's played. Moore's got some value on the second line, but there's not a ton of props that I'm loving on the Kings side for this game. As you can tell, just overall, not a great overall game that I love, side total or props. Chris Otto, great to see him in the chat. We do need to point this out because I know he's been on this a ton. The Washington 15-0 run to the goal in the first 10 minutes. That's, if you've been riding that, I'd say keep betting it. And even if you haven't been riding it, either bet it on its own. If it's too pricey, you can put it in a parlay of some kind. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty amazing streak. And like I said, you know how I feel about streaks when they are in effect. I either ride the streak or I don't bet it. It's that simple. So yeah, 15 straight for Washington as far as goal in the first 10 minutes. So something to keep in mind regarding this game here, Capitals and Kings. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us on this big Tuesday slate, Tuesday edition of the show. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Unbelievable group of handicappers. It really is. I'm seeing some of the records now on the leaderboards that have been posted on the page, and everybody's doing one hell of a great job. It's a great roster, top to bottom. People that have been, some have just, getting their first start, like a Matt Robinson, and then there's guys that have been doing this for 30 years that are on the website. But all of them are a great collection of people that are good bettors, good handicappers, doing a great job. So check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. I have a very big college basketball card tonight on the website, so make sure you check that out. It's a really good card. I've got a few NHL as well, so make sure you check that out, wizardsportspicks.com. Matt's on a great NHL run on the website. Check out his Beyond the Lines video for Tuesday. I do that video Thursdays and Sundays, so check that out as well at the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel. So get some premium picks and check out the site, wizardsportspicks.com. And of course, the Patreon page, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, all the bonus content. Of course, our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So make sure you check it out. Patreon.com/iceguys. Your subscription and membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Sign up and sign up soon, because our live betcast for the month of December, Patreon only, is right around the corner. We don't reveal the date until the day of the betcast, but it is. It's like really right around the corner. So make sure you check it out, patreon.com/iceguys, to partake in that exclusive betcast to Patreon members coming up here in December. And of course, the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Again, great merch, gear. Get it now before Christmas arrives. Cyber Monday sale is over, but tons of great merch and obviously gear that you can get. Check it out at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Where the kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out. 20% off. Promo code IceGuys, royalcannabisshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Huge slate for Tuesday to choose from. Matt, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night. What do you got?
So I'm gonna go out to the Stars game at MSG. I know you mentioned Jamie Benn. I love that look. He's been hot since his return. Obviously getting an opportunity to play with Rantanen and Wyatt Johnston makes things a bit easier on anybody's return into action. But I'm gonna go with another guy that he actually hasn't scored in his last 7 games. He has had 7 assists in that stretch. If you've been watching the Stars, he's had numerous chances in every game. He could have had 3 or 4 against Utah the other night. Give me Tyler Seguin anytime goal in that Stars Rangers game. I see it at like plus 380, something around there. I did look in his last 5 games against the Rangers. He has 3 goals. So it's a team he's not afraid to score against. He's playing with Robertson and Hentz, and that line has been creating a lot of chances. Obviously, Robertson's been as hot as anybody. Rupe Hentz has had goals in the last couple, so I think it's Tyler Seguin's shot to get a goal tonight. So Tyler Seguin anytime goal. That'll be my bargain bin for tonight's Tuesday, December 2nd card.
All right, there you have it. Hey, Rob, with his bargain bin special of the night. I actually like Bailey's bargain bin. It's not mine. I didn't, but it makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. Oliver Ekman-Larsson plus 900. Toronto Maple Leafs against his old team where he won a Stanley Cup, 2 years ago with the Florida Panthers. And obviously, he was there for the first of the 2 cups with Florida. And he's also scored in 2 of the last 5 games and 3 of the last 10 games. So against his old team and plus 900, the price is pretty good. Good job on that, Bailey. You're using your noodle on that one. Good stuff. It's a pretty good bargain bin special there on that one. Not bad. My bargain bin special, I'm going to go to Ryan Green for Chicago. I mentioned him already. Up on the top line, starting to heat up. Great price still, plus 450 for him to find the back of the net. So I'm definitely liking the price there with him on that one for bargain bin special number 1. Bargain bin special number 2, give me Ryan Hartman, Minnesota, plus 440. No relation to Dan Hartman. I can dream about you scoring a goal tonight on the bargain bin. Ryan Hartman, plus 440 with the bargain bin special of the night for Minnesota. So there you go. Ryan Hartman, plus 440 for Minnesota. And also, of course, Ryan Green for Chicago. Plus 450 for my 2 bargain bin specials of the night. Good stuff indeed. All right, best bets for this Tuesday card. Alex's best bet is Minnesota, plus 130. I see him in the chat. Good to see him. I like that. Plus 130. It's not my best bet, but I love the bet. It's definitely one of my favorites on the card. So riding the wave that is Wallstead right now, who's been absolutely outstanding for Minnesota. 6 straight wins with him in net. So Alex is going with Minnesota, plus 130 for best bet. Matt, what do you got for your Tuesday best bet?
There was a lot to choose from. Sometimes on those Friday cards, it's minimal pickings. So I did have to kind of weigh some options, but I think I'm going to go out to that game at T-Mobile in my current home state. Chicago heading to Vegas, Carter Hart debut. We talked about Chicago goal in the first period, first goal of the game, all that fun stuff. Just need 2 in this one. So give me Chicago, Vegas, first period over 1.5. That'll be my best bet for tonight.
All right, good stuff. Chicago, Vegas, over 1.5 first period. Best bet for Matt Robinson. My best bet, we're going to go to the border, the provincial border battle, if you will, Montreal and Ottawa, little Ontario versus Quebec going on. Over 6, minus 115. I love this total. Over series history, 4 straight overs, head-to-head, Senators versus Canadians, 8-2 to the over in the last 10 games. I think we see more goals tonight in Montreal between these 2 teams. Ottawa, Montreal, over 6, minus 115 for my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. We appreciate it very much. Like I said, it's a good card. There's a lot I like. A lot of good choices. A lot of good opportunities out there. A lot of the bets I mentioned I like. So hopefully that leads to a really good night overall. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we will be back tomorrow on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.